Good morning, Mariners. I'm Deputy Morse with the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. Today we're going to be going over our alert presentation, which is our active assailant training for the first semester. Teachers, I am asking you at this time, please do your attendance for accountability for this program. Thank you. Okay, the acronym ALERT stands for Assess, Lockdown, Evade, Resist, and Tell. You always want to be alert and report anything that is suspicious to 911, or if you see something, you need to say something to someone immediately. Please do not wait. When you're assessing your classrooms, you want to make sure your classroom is secure. You want to deny access to your classroom. All doors should be locked during school hours. When you are in your classroom, you want to find cover, which is protection from projectiles, concealment, which means it just hides you from the assailant's sight, and you want to make sure that you have evade options, ways to escape your classroom if need be. When you're assessing your classrooms, you want to, as you can see in the red, that is all the area that is visible from a hallway. The yellow area is what is labeled in your classrooms as the safe area. When you're trying to hide in your classrooms, you want to be in the yellow area. When we do lockdown, a lockdown is a secure area. You have indirect contact with the threat. You can secure your location, and you have an exit if it leads to danger. When we're assessing control, obviously we keep all of our classroom doors locked during instructional hours. You can secure your location, which means you are able to lock the doors. Once again, you have indirect contact with the threat, and you can secure your location, and there's a place that you can hide within there. For the picture on the left, a teacher has strategically placed a bookshelf, which drastically increases the area of the places that you can hide in. Also, when you're locking down, we trained this a couple years ago, reference to barricading your classrooms. Use whatever you can to secure the main entrance door. Your exit door you always want to keep available, though, to exit if you need to in case that person gets into your classroom. If a lockdown fails, at that time you want to transition to either evade or resist. When we evade, that's an escape. It's a way to avoid danger. You have direct contact with the threat. You cannot secure your location, but you have a clear path to be able to get away. Under direct contact, that means you've come in, the person's right there. You want to run. You try to get away, try to find a place that you can secure yourself. Under indirect contact, we use the evade option, which means you want to try to find a place to hide a lot more quickly. With the resist portion, this is a last case scenario. It does not mean we're teaching students to fight or to encounter an attacker. We want to keep you safe, so try to avoid the attacker at all costs. Teachers and staff are taught to resist if someone is trying to hurt students, but during an emergency situation only. Like I said, once again, resist is a last resort. It means you've come in direct contact with the attacker. You can't run away, you can't escape, and your life is in danger. When we come to the tell portion of this, when it's safe to do so, you'll call 911. You'll give my dispatchers as much information as possible, give your location where you are in the school. If you know how many intruders there are, where the intruders are, what they're wearing, clothing description, height, weight, race, hair color. If you know their name, that is a very important information to provide for us. If they have any weapons, and if you know what kind of weapons they are, and if there's anybody that's been harmed. But once again, this is only when it's safe to do so. So with the active threat, we go back to the acronym assess, lockdown, evade, resist, or tell. You want to decide what your best course of action is when the situation happens. During evacuation, this is a structured movement out of the school to a safer location. Because it's structured and organized, this differs from an evade option from the alert. Evacuation is what we use for fire alarms, fires, suspicious packages, etc. That's when we go outside the campus if we're able to keep you on campus. Usually it's out there by the baseball fields in this rec yard area. When you do start to evacuate, you want to make sure you're checking the area for any immediate dangers, determine the safest route of evacuation, listen to your teachers and their instructions, assist others if they need it, and once outside, always be aware of your surroundings because sometimes a situation could be just a ploy to draw you out of your classrooms. And once outside, if we have to go off campus, you'll proceed to your designated rally area. So just a recap of the alert. We assess, that's to orient our best options, assess our locations and level of contact. We lock down, means we have indirect contact with the threat. You can secure your location and or evade if you're able to. When we go to the evade, that means we've come in direct contact with the person and you need to get away. With the resist, once again, this is a last resort. It means you've come in direct contact with the attacker. You can't escape, you can't run away, but you must fight. And when it's safe to do so, call 911, give them as much information as possible so that we have information for my responding deputies to know who they're looking for. We'll go over fire alarms. Once again, in the past, fire alarms have removed kids from classrooms into a dangerous setting. Not always are they pulled, but sometimes they can be activated by gunfire themselves. So if a fire alarm does go off, take a few seconds, look outside, make sure it is safe before just getting up and walking out of your classroom. And while evacuating, look and listen as you're proceeding out of your classroom because you may have to retreat back into your classroom if there is a threat outside. When law enforcement responds, that's my fellow officers coming to the scene. They don't know who the threat usually is. They're looking for someone with a weapon. So when you can, once again, call 911, get as much information as possible. The first response when law enforcement arrives on scene is our job is to stop the shooter. Follow any and all directions from law enforcement officers. Remember, they don't know who the shooter is. You want to keep your hands in the air. If you know who the shooter is, inform those units that have responded. Provide a description of the shooter if you have any information. Even if you think someone else has already given us information, there could be multiple shooters and your information is important. Things you obviously should not do. We don't want you running around screaming and yelling. You just draw attention to yourself and it doesn't help the situation. Do not ask responding units for help with evacuation. Our sole duty is to stop the shooter, and once it's safe to do so, then we will render assistance to students. Do not make any sudden movements or run directly at officers. So if we tell you to stop or get down on the ground, please do so. And one of the biggest things is do not grab an officer or EMS. At that time, you will be perceived as a threat. With medical treatment, it may be necessary for you to provide medical treatment to yourself or others until assistance arrives. I always suggest to all students, if you haven't taken a basic first aid class, please do so. Learn some basic first aid not only for yourself, but for anyone else. And just be aware that you may be locked down for an extended period of time while we, law enforcement, are securing the school and make sure it's safe for everyone to exit.
I'm here at the scene of tomorrow's shooting, where a 15-year-old will kill 4 children, 2 adults, and then turn the gun on himself.
When the shooting starts happening tomorrow, first I'll probably just think it's firecrackers or a car backfiring or something.
He told some of us that his dad kept a gun in his closet, and he always talked about using it on, you know, the people that bullied him. Tomorrow I'll probably say that I wish I told someone.
You know, after the shooting, we're gonna feel pretty bad about picking on him, but until then, we'll probably just keep doing it because he's pretty weird.
Tomorrow I'll probably point out that something has seemed off with him since the beginning of the school year.
And I'm now joined by the officers who will be the first responders tomorrow. What additional details can you share with us?
Well, someone is expected to tell us after the shooting that the shooter has been posting on social media about doing this for weeks.
So how will you explain the shooting to your daughter?
Actually, I won't get to explain it to her because she won't make it.
This is Christine Lynn, reporting from the scene of another shooting we'll say we never saw coming.
That's obviously a fake video that was made up, reference to a school shooting. But these are a lot of things that law enforcement will hear. Teachers will be coming forward telling us information about a situation that has happened, that they've dealt with a student. They've heard things, they've seen things that should have been reported. So it comes back to the fact of we can only prevent something if we know about the information. So if, once again, if you hear something, you need to say something, you see something, please say something. And these are immediate things that need to be reported. Please do not wait. If you see stuff online after school hours, call the sheriff's office. We are open 24/7. And we need to investigate these things immediately so when you come to school, you are safe. Okay, we're just going to go over the Fortify Florida Tip app. This is on the computers of everybody's hard mounts on their school computers. There's also an app you can download on your phone. It's available through Google Play and the App Store. This is a way to report any suspicious activity. And a way to be able to do this here is you'll open the app. You'll have options to report a tip, call 911, or review previously submitted tips and the progress of that tip. Reporting a new tip, they'll ask you if this is an emergency. If it is, it'll prompt you to call 911. If it is not an emergency, it will let you then continue with submitting your tip. The Fortify Florida app will request permission to use your GPS location. This is the ability so it can locate the best, closest school to you, and you'll be able to choose from a list of schools in that area. Next, you'll be able to attach videos or photographs to the tip. And the final step is to provide your contact information if you wish to do so. Once again, all this information is collected. It's very important to us when you submit these tips that you submit accurate, true information. You can still be tracked even if you don't submit your information when you report a tip, because it is taken very seriously and we investigate every tip very seriously and thoroughly. So it comes back to the thing, if you see something, you hear something, you need to report it to staff members, myself, or the office as soon as possible. This includes any social media posts that you see, written messages, or even rumors. We want to investigate anything as quickly as possible to make sure you guys are safe while you're on campus. And once again, if you do see things after school hours while you're at home, please do not wait to come to school that morning to let me know about it or staff. You need to call the sheriff's office immediately to report that so we can investigate it thoroughly that evening so we can make sure that you are safe to come to school the next day. These are a couple websites that you can go on for information about active shooters and get information about those situations and training. Okay, thank you, Mariners, for your time. Like I said, when we do active assailant training, we do take this very seriously, and we expect you guys to take it seriously as well. Our trainings this year and our drills will be held a little differently. Drills, we will not be going to our safe corners because of the whole COVID situation. You will remain in your seats, but we will still follow every other protocol, which is still remaining quiet, lights off, windows covered. And once again, teachers, I do ask that you please complete your attendance at this time. Thank you.